From Womb to Flame, the esoteric symbolism of color in Freemasonry's first 4 degrees. This report explores the profound symbolic significance of color in Freemasonry, particularly within the first 4 degrees. Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, Master Mason, and the Holy Royal Arch. These degrees, collectively spanning the Blue Lodge, Craft Masonry, and Red Lodge, Royal Arch Masonry, are not only ritual stages, but also spiritual transformations, each marked by a dominant color: white, blue, green, and red. The study examines the exoteric, outer public, meanings of these colors as reflections of Masonic virtues, purity, wisdom, truth, and zeal, and the esoteric, inner initiate, meanings as archetypal forces and alchemical stages of transformation. White symbolizes spiritual potential and initiation, blue, the cosmic womb and hidden wisdom, green, resurrection and harmony, and red, divine fire and the culmination of enlightenment, far beyond aesthetics. These colors chart the Mason's inner journey, from symbolic birth through transformation to ultimate awakening. Together, they represent a unified system of spiritual architecture, where blue builds the inner self and red reveals the hidden truth, each stage advancing the initiate from latent potential to conscious realization of the divine within. This symbolic framework aligns Masonic ritual with ancient mystical systems, such as Kabbalah, Hermeticism, and alchemy, offering a dual lens, ethical and mystical, through which Freemasonry may be understood as both a Jewish moral philosophy and transformative spiritual path. Introduction. In Freemasonry, colors are not mere decoration, they are symbolic languages, carrying layers of meaning that illuminate the spiritual journey of the initiate. Among these, the terms Blue Lodge and Red Lodge refer to Craft Freemasonry and Royal Arch Masonry, respectively. These titles are derived from the dominant colors associated with each body, yet their significance runs far deeper than external association. Exoterically, these colors reflect moral virtues and ethical aspirations. Esoterically, they are expressions of primordial forces and archetypal energies that shape the Masonic path from birth to transformation. Just as architecture requires both foundation and culmination, Craft and Royal Arch Masonry together form a complete spiritual edifice. The former builds the self, the latter unveils the hidden and reunites the seeker with the lost light. This exploration delves into the symbolic significance of white, blue, green, and red across the first 4 degrees of the Masonic system, offering both outward meanings and inner mysteries for the reflective Mason. The Jewish foundations of Freemasonry. Freemasonry, in both its structure and symbolism, is deeply indebted to Judaism. Without the sacred texts, rituals, and mystical traditions of the Jewish people, Freemasonry as we know it would not exist. The central mythos of the Craft, the building of King Solomon's temple, is a cornerstone of Jewish history and spiritual thought. The Hebrew Bible provides not only the narrative framework for Masonic allegory, but also its moral and philosophical underpinnings. Moreover, the influence of Jewish mysticism, particularly the Kabbalistic tree of life, is unmistakable in the esoteric teachings of the higher degrees. Terms like the lost word, the concept of divine light, and the emphasis on sacred geometry all draw directly from Jewish theological and mystical sources. Even the very structure of the lodge, with its pillars, veil, and ark, mirrors the layout of the tabernacle and the temple, both deeply rooted in Jewish religious tradition. Freemasonry, while universal in spirit, is built upon a Jewish foundation that shapes its rituals, symbols, and spiritual aspirations. Historically, King Solomon himself is believed to have engaged with Baal worship, followed the religion of Baalism, and the roots of Judaism lie within the broader Hebrew and Canaanite cultural religious matrix, highlighting that what Freemasonry draws from is a complex, ancient spiritual heritage born from Canaanite soil, Canaanite Phoenician roots, and the syncretic legacy of early Hebrew religion. The early Hebrews emerged from within the cultural and religious milieu of the ancient Canaanites and Phoenicians, sharing language, deities, and rituals that shaped the foundation of what would later become Judaism. Archaeological and textual evidence reveals that the religious practices of the Israelites were deeply intertwined with those of their Canaanite neighbors, often blending elements in a form of religious syncretism. Deities such as 𝗘𝗆𝗶𝗁 and 𝗘𝗆𝗃, central figures in Canaanite worship, appear in early Hebrew texts, sometimes reinterpreted, sometimes condemned, yet undeniably present. King Solomon, revered in both Masonic and biblical traditions, is historically linked to this syncretism. Biblical accounts suggest he erected high places and altars for Baal and Astarte, Ashtoreth, engaging in what later reformers considered pagan rites. This form of spiritual eclecticism, which some interpret as a kind of ancient Luciferian or magical practice, aligns with esoteric traditions of divine knowledge, ritual power, and hidden wisdom. Solomon's flirtation with Baalism and goddess worship reflects a deeper current of mystery religion, ancestral witchcraft, and cosmological dualism that underpins both ancient Semitic spirituality and the later symbolic frameworks inherited by systems like Freemasonry. Exoteric and esoteric symbolism of the Blue Lodge craft Freemasonry teaches how to build the self. Royal Arch Masonry reveals what was hidden, completing the philosophical journey started in the craft, born from water, blue, of the womb, into the light of the sun, red. Blue exoterically symbolizes universal friendship and benevolence, making it the foundational color of craft Freemasonry, which includes the first 3 degrees. Blue esoterically is associated with the primordial waters, the source of life, the cosmic womb, and the feminine matrix of creation. Blue as the water of the womb signifies the initiatory rebirth that the candidate undergoes during the degrees of craft Freemasonry. The entered apprentice degree is especially symbolic of birth or rebirth, with the candidate symbolically entering the lodge as if passing through the amniotic waters of a new spiritual life. In many esoteric systems, for example Kabbalah, Hermeticism, ancient mystery schools, creation begins in the waters of chaos. Blue here represents the undifferentiated potential, the matrix from which order, self-awareness, and divine consciousness are formed, mirroring the Mason's journey from darkness to light. Water and the womb both symbolize the feminine, receptive aspect of the universe, associated with Sophia, Bina on the Tree of Life, or Isis in the Egyptian mysteries. Esoterically, blue thus also alludes to hidden wisdom, intuitive knowledge, and the mysteries of the subconscious. Just as the womb transforms the unformed into life, blue symbolizes the transformative nature of initiation, turning the profane into the sacred. Blue, the color of the cosmic womb, the primordial waters of transformation, the feminine matrix of rebirth, and the mystical gateway from unknowing into awareness. In Freemasonry, the initiate is not merely joining a fraternity, he's symbolically reborn from the waters of the Great Mother into a life of light, wisdom, and work. Exoteric and esoteric symbolism of the Red Lodge, red, exoterically symbolizes fervency and zeal, the passionate commitment and burning intensity of spirit expected of those who seek deeper knowledge and truth. It is the characteristic color of Royal Arch Masonry, often called Red Masonry, which extends and completes the story begun in craft Freemasonry. Red, esoterically is associated with sacred fire, divine blood, and the alchemical energy of transformation. It is the color of life force, sacrifice, illumination through trial, and the masculine principle of will and action. Red as sacred fire signifies the inner ignition of divine will, the spiritual flame that burns away the dross of the ego, refining the soul as it seeks higher wisdom and reunification with the lost word, central to the Royal Arch narrative. In mystical traditions, such as alchemy, red represents the final stage of transformation, rubedo, when the spirit is perfected, and united with the divine. It follows the black, negredo, of dissolution, and white, albedo, of purification. This parallels the royal arch's symbolic return to the light of truth, hidden beneath the ruins of the former self. Red is also the color of blood, symbolizing sacrifice, ancestral lineage, and the vital link between the mortal and the divine. In this way, it connects the initiates to the sacred mystery of resurrection, where life is not merely preserved, but spiritually regenerated. In Kabbalistic and esoteric systems, red can signify gevura, the sephir of strength, discipline, and judgment, the fiery aspect of the divine. It balances the receptive waters of Bina, blue, reflecting the dynamic polarity between passive wisdom and active force. Red, then, represents the burning heart of the seeker, the furnace of spiritual labor, where truth is not only discovered, but forged. Just as blue initiates the candidate through birth, red carries him through the trial of awakening, the confrontation with divine fire, and the sacred act of remembrance and reintegration. Red, the color of fire, blood, sacrifice, and divine energy, is the mark of the awakened soul, one who has passed through the veils, reclaimed the lost light, and is now aflame with the sacred zeal to serve truth. In Royal Arch Masonry, the initiate is not merely continuing a journey, but ascending, transformed by fire, sealed by blood, and driven by fervency toward the ineffable. The first 4 degrees of the Masonic system. The color white is the first degree, the entered apprentice. Exoterically, this color represents purity and initiation. Esoterically, white is the light before form, the alchemical prima materia, symbolizing spiritual potential, and the seed of consciousness. It is the color of spiritual latency, where the soul prepares to be awakened. White also evokes the veil of mystery, the liminal space between the mundane and the sacred, as the initiate enters the womb of the mysteries. The color blue is the second degree, the fellowcraft. Exoterically, this color represents knowledge and loyalty. Esoterically, blue is the primordial waters, the cosmic womb, and the feminine matrix of creation. It is the color of intuition, hidden wisdom, and the subconscious. In this degree, blue symbolizes the receptive state of the soul, drawing down celestial knowledge as the initiate begins shaping internal structures through study and work. The color green is the third degree, the Master Mason. Exoterically, this color represents truth, immortality, and resurrection. Esoterically, green is the color of regeneration, divine truth, and balance between the material and the spiritual. It represents the fertile ground from which the initiate, now symbolically dead to the profane world, is reborn into spiritual awareness. It mirrors Tiferet on the tree of life, the heart center that harmonizes love, beauty, and sacrifice. The color red is the fourth degree, the Holy Royal Arch. Exoterically, this is the color of the Royal Arch chapter. This color symbolizes fervency and zeal, reflecting the chapter's themes of rebuilding the temple and, symbolically, life. Esoterically, red is the sacred fire, the blood of initiation, and the alchemical rubedo, the culmination of transformation. It reflects the active force, divine will, and sacrificial energy that empowers the initiate to reclaim the lost word, or inner divine spark. Red is the flame that purifies, ignites purpose, and binds the mason to the eternal truths hidden in the ruins of the inner temple. This layered interpretation bridges the outer symbols with the inner mysteries, providing a deeper understanding of how each degree progresses, both spiritually and symbolically. Conclusion: though each Masonic degree is associated with a principal color, white, blue, green, and red, these hues are not static emblems. They are living symbols, layered with wisdom drawn from mystical, alchemical, and initiatory traditions. White marks the soul's first breath, blue its immersion into the waters of inner formation, green the fertile resurrection of the true self, and red the sacred fire that seals enlightenment with sacrifice and will. Yet within each degree, Additional colors and symbols may appear, signifying specific virtues, elemental forces, or spiritual trials unique to the initiate's path. The Masonic journey has a multi-layered design, where exoteric virtue and esoteric truth continually reflect and complete one another. Freemasonry does not merely teach its creator's version of morality. It encodes a path of transformation through color, symbol, and ritual, a path from darkness to light, from water to fire, from the womb of mystery to the flame of divine remembrance.